Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
It sounds fake.
Sounds fake. What if one of the most celebrated royal births wasn't what we were told?
It's just so disgusting.
For years, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have painted the story of Archie's birth as a tale of privacy, secrecy, and defiance against the palace.
It was a dreadful thing to do, and actually completely wrong.
That suggests something far darker might have been happening behind those hospital doors.
Take a listen.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years.
And at the center of it all is Candace Owens.
I was instantly enraged from this 10-second clip. It just annoyed me.
But now voices are rising, loud, determined, and armed with receipts.
Does it make you sound like a better mom? It makes you sound like really kind of into yourself in a way.
Contradictions so wild they've left medical professionals and royal insiders shaking their heads.
This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
That suggests something far darker might have been happening behind those hospital doors.
He describes her very well, and he does this by taking a look.
Absolute media manipulation. But I thought tonight this was really ridiculous.
2 epidurals, a rapid hospital discharge, conflicting explanations for why the press wasn't notified.
Buckingham Palace is being pressured to remove Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth from the UK's royal line of succession until the Duchess provides absolute proof that she popped out both babies herself.
Who's calling out what she believes are glaring contradictions in Meghan's pregnancy story.
Why lie? It was just so truly bizarre.
Contradictions so wild they've left medical professionals and royal insiders shaking their heads.
Why would you do that? That's not necessary.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample or proof of delivery.
It's like she's playing a human being, like it's a performance.
From Harry's own memoir to hospital insider leaks, the official timeline doesn't just feel unusual. It feels almost impossible.
It bothers me first because it's a lie. She's not in the hospital trying to induce labor by twerking. The hospital will not give you a bed because you're trying to induce labor. You are not allowed.
2 epidurals, a rapid hospital discharge. Conflicting explanations for why the press wasn't notified.
Put up a camera, fixate it, and then both of you start twerking. Because in her mind, she was thinking, I'm going to release this later in a Netflix doc or release it later to show people how relatable I am. Otherwise, you can have a cute moment with your husband without recording it. Why would you record this for any reason? Why would you record this?
When you place these puzzle pieces together, the picture isn't one of a fairy tale royal birth. It's a web of contradictions that's only growing harder to ignore. And here's the kicker. If even part of this narrative doesn't hold up under scrutiny, it raises a chilling question. What exactly was the royal family hiding? And why? Because if the inconsistencies are real, then the public hasn't just been misled. The trust between Meghan, Harry, and the millions who celebrated Archie's arrival may have been shattered from day one.
Why have they simply not made an announcement to the fact that all of this speculation about the children's arrivals?
Before you jump to conclusions, let's break down the evidence piece by piece because what comes next may change how you see this royal story forever. The timeline in Harry's own memoir might expose more than the couple ever intended. In his best-selling book, Harry recalls Meghan giving birth to Archie at the luxurious Portland hospital, where she supposedly endured not 1 but 2 epidurals before leaving the hospital with their newborn in just a matter of hours. On the surface, it reads like a dramatic and glamorous account, the kind of story meant to showcase resilience and control. But when doctors, nurses, and even experienced mothers began analyzing this version of events, the questions came flooding in. First, the idea of having 2 epidurals in the middle of labor raised red flags. An epidural isn't a painkiller you pop in and out. It involves inserting a catheter near the spinal cord, and switching it out mid-labor is not only extremely rare, but also risky.
You need proof that I'm authentic? I just dropped myself twerking. I have proven that I am authentic because I twerked with my husband in a room.
Second, the recovery timeline Harry describes is almost medically impossible. Most new mothers, especially those who undergo any complications or even standard pain management, are monitored for at least a full day before being discharged. Yet, Harry claims Meghan was at home, settled, and resting with Archie within 2 hours. And here's where it gets even stranger. Portland Hospital is located in central London, while their home in Frogmore Cottage is a lengthy drive away. Between discharge paperwork, newborn checks, pain recovery, and the commute, the math just doesn't add up. Even under the best-case scenario, the timeline feels rushed, glossed over, and suspiciously convenient. Which begs the question, why tell a story that medical professionals say doesn't line up with reality? And if the timeline is inaccurate, what else in their carefully curated narrative might also be misleading? Because as odd as this account already seems, the contradictions only deepen when we start looking at how the palace itself handled Archie's birth.
If you had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. This is what it is.
If Harry's timeline raised eyebrows, Meghan's handling of the press lit the fuse. Traditionally, when a royal baby is born, there's a strict and symbolic protocol. The Queen is informed first, an official announcement is prepared, and the press is notified almost immediately to share the news with the public. But when Archie arrived, those rules seemed to vanish. Meghan herself gave not one, not two, but 3 different explanations for why the press wasn't alerted in the usual way. In one version, she suggested it was to protect her privacy. In another, she claimed it was due to complications during the birth. And in yet another account, the story shifted again, raising the question, if the truth was simple, why so many different versions? Even royal reporters, who are normally sympathetic to the palace, admitted confusion over the timeline. Some journalists were told Archie had already been born hours before the announcement, while others received conflicting messages that the Duchess was in labor when in fact she wasn't. This kind of chaos doesn't just break protocol. It undermines the credibility of the institution itself. And remember, palace protection officers and staff follow rules to the letter. Deviations like this don't just happen by accident. The secrecy and contradictions didn't just fuel curiosity, they sparked suspicion.
So all the pictures, my point is, out there were inconsistent with the idea of a real pregnancy.
Was this confusion a deliberate attempt to hide the real circumstances of Archie's birth? Because as unusual as the press situation was, it's nothing compared to what we uncover when we examine Portland Hospital itself. Do you believe these inconsistencies are about protecting privacy, creating sympathy, or covering something deeper about the monarchy? When Harry described Meghan receiving 2 epidurals during labor, medical professionals immediately raised an eyebrow. For those unfamiliar, an epidural isn't a quick injection. It's a delicate procedure where a catheter is carefully placed near the spinal cord to deliver continuous pain relief. Once inserted, it stays in place, allowing adjustments in dosage without needing to remove and repeat the process. That's why experts insist the claim of having 2 epidurals makes little sense. Switching catheters mid-labor is rare, risky, and would only be attempted under unusual circumstances. Even then, such a procedure would extend recovery time and require meticulous monitoring after.
I am sorry, but, and genuinely, I don't even mean to attack her. there was something frustrating about her, and I think he hits nail on the head.
Yet, Harry's account suggests this was a routine event, glossed over almost as if it were nothing. Critics argue this detail doesn't reflect medical reality, but instead reads like a dramatized retelling for effect, or worse, a misrepresentation. And the confusion doesn't stop there. If Meghan truly underwent an additional invasive procedure, her reported rapid recovery and discharge from Portland Hospital become even more implausible. The combination of multiple epidurals and a same-day departure contradicts standard medical protocols, which emphasize observation to prevent complications like nerve injury, low blood pressure, or infection. To put it bluntly, The story doesn't align with how childbirth medicine actually works, which leads to an unsettling question. Was this a simple misunderstanding of medical terminology? Or was the narrative intentionally shaped to appear extraordinary? Because when it comes to Meghan's pregnancy story, every small inconsistency seems to open the door to something much bigger. Childbirth is not something you simply walk away from in a matter of hours, no matter how privileged the circumstances. Standard medical practice requires new mothers to be observed for at least 24 hours after delivery. Even in uncomplicated cases, vital signs are monitored, bleeding is assessed, and both mother and newborn undergo repeated checks before discharge is even considered. Now, if complications like preeclampsia are involved, which Meghan herself has suggested, doctors would never release a patient so quickly. Preeclampsia isn't a minor condition. It can cause seizures, organ damage, and life-threatening spikes in blood pressure. Women who experience it are typically monitored for days, sometimes weeks, to ensure stability. Yet, according to Harry's memoir, Meghan delivered, received multiple interventions, and was back home in what amounts to the length of a feature film. That timeline isn't just unusual. It directly contradicts what obstetricians describe as safe, responsible care. Medical experts reviewing this account have called it reckless at best and implausible at worst. And here's where the contradictions sharpen. Meghan has positioned herself as a voice for maternal health awareness, often speaking about the importance of proper care and monitoring. If her story about leaving so soon after birth is true, it undercuts the very standards she publicly advocates for. And if it's not, then the public has been given a curated version of events that doesn't match reality. Either way, the narrative raises more questions than answers, and those questions only intensify once insider testimonies begin to surface. Behind the polished royal announcements, whispers from Portland hospital staff tell a different story. Anonymous employees have spoken of odd inconsistencies that don't align with the glossy narrative. One insider questioned Harry's claim about ordering late-night food, pointing out that patients don't exactly summon gourmet meals at all hours. Yes, Portland offers fine dining, but accounts of Meghan's specific cravings conflict with what staff actually remember serving. Another peculiar detail involves the so-called secret elevator that Harry described in his memoir. According to longtime employees, while the hospital is discreet, there's no hidden system resembling the one he painted for readers. Instead, the building operates like any other high-end facility with private corridors, but nothing resembling a royal escape route. These contradictions may seem minor on their own, but together they paint a troubling picture, a story curated for public consumption rather than grounded in fact. Add to this the quiet testimony of a supposed hospital insider who claims Meghan's stay was less dramatic than portrayed, and suddenly the official timeline feels even more fragile. Candace Owens has seized on these inconsistencies, arguing that when small details collapse under scrutiny, larger claims must also be questioned. Was the royal couple embellishing for sympathy? Or was there something more deliberate at play? An effort to control every piece of the narrative, even down to the menu and the hallways. Whatever the case, each leak pushes the public further from trust and closer to suspicion. And that suspicion only sharpens when we consider the bigger question. Why all the lies in the first place? Why do you think medical details like 2 epidurals and a same-day discharge were included in Harry's memoir? Were they misunderstandings, exaggerations, or something more intentional? By now, the inconsistencies aren't just piling up. They're demanding an explanation. If the timeline doesn't add up, if the hospital details don't check out, and if insiders keep contradicting the official version, then we're left with one chilling question. Why? Why would Meghan and Harry feel the need to alter or embellish something as personal as the birth of their child? Some suggest it was about control, maintaining power over the narrative in a royal system where privacy is nearly impossible. Others argue it was a strategy to generate sympathy, presenting Meghan as a woman navigating extraordinary challenges under extraordinary pressure. And then there are those who believe the secrecy wasn't about Meghan at all, but about shielding the monarchy from uncomfortable truths. Whatever the reason, the contradictions created an unintended consequence. Instead of silencing critics, they gave skeptics even more ammunition. Every shifted detail, every blurred timeline, every misremembered moment feeds the perception of dishonesty. And once public trust starts to erode, rebuilding it is nearly impossible. Candace Owens' criticism taps directly into this mistrust, amplifying doubts that were already simmering. Because if a royal couple can't be straightforward about a birth, what else might they be hiding? Whether it was a calculated PR move or a tangled web of half-truths, the result is the same. People are questioning the integrity of the entire story. And that brings us to the final reckoning, the contradictions, the consequences, and what this means for Meghan and Harry's credibility moving forward. And there you have it. From memoir contradictions to hospital mysteries, Meghan's pregnancy story is packed with inconsistencies that simply don't add up. Whether you believe this was just sloppy storytelling or something more carefully crafted, one thing is certain. The truth remains buried under layers of confusion. Candace Owens may have stirred the pot, but her commentary shines a spotlight on questions many people have whispered for years. The details don't match. The timelines clash, and every new explanation only opens the door to even more suspicion. But here's the kicker. This isn't the only part of Meghan's story that's raising eyebrows. If you thought the pregnancy timeline was wild, wait until you hear about her age scandal. Yes, her own father, Thomas Markle, has come forward with shocking claims that could change the way you see Meghan forever. Don't miss our previous deep dive. Connects directly with everything we've uncovered today, and reveals even more secrets the public was never supposed to know. So before you click away, hit play on that video and continue the journey with us. Trust me, you'll want to see how deep this rabbit hole really goes. This is Star Spotlight, where the truth behind the headlines is always one step closer than you think. Stay curious, stay critical, and I'll see you in the next.